Okay, so social media is a dumpster fire. This is the second time I'm recording this because as soon as I uploaded it on YouTube, believe it or not, I found out the account that this was under was not verified, and they don't tell you the video is not processing until and after you fully update it, then it will tell you either it rejects it and you have to re-upload the whole thing again. And it just so happened that the file wasn't even on my computer anymore by the time that it hit the processing stage, so I had to redo this whole thing. It was a 30-minute video. So this is just a warning. Don't trust what YouTube says, because even YouTube isn't telling you everything. And Google censors everything, believe it or not. So there's more to that mystery that websites can be a complete dumpster fire. So anyways, this is going to be kind of like another explanation between like why social media is good and why it's not, and we're going to kind of just dive into it. See, social media by definition is basically going online and talking to people, and it's good, but at the same time though, you see some of the stupid, like the things that you see the most are the stupid things that get famous because like it's the reverse psychology. Like some people look at that, they're minding their own business, and all of a sudden news headline comes up. And it doesn't have to just be like the mainstream media, it could be just somebody, like someone like you and me. And then all of a sudden you just look at some of these articles and you're like, what the fuck? Like how, like not just the clickbait, but like what some people are famous for doing. Like some of these people, like you can't even make this up. Some of these people, like the reason that they're even in the headlines is because of what they did, or it's all fake news to the point where, it's just there for the publisher to make as much money off it as possible. Like, kind of reminds me of that episode of SpongeBob, the the Krabby Chronicle episode. That was the whole point. They're like exaggerating the truth, and then like it's supposed to be a gimmick where Mr. Krabs is making so much money off of it, overworks employees, and he reaps all the rewards. Mastermind behind the Krabby Chronicle. But it's just, the social media is, I mean, it's a great idea, but the way we go about using it, it's like people manipulate people. You will see people get away with so much because of either white knights or if you don't know what a white knight is, basically someone who just blindly defends said person, their queen, for example. Again, Twitch Thots, for example, good example, but it doesn't even have to be just Twitch Thots. It could be other, there's people out there that, they're not trying to start stuff with people. They're just telling the truth. And then there's some people out there like Alinity or Amaranth or Bad Bunny, just to name a few, will go out of their way to just, they'll say that they don't want people making fun of them. But yet there's reason to believe that that was their whole intention. So that way they could turn around, play the victim card, make money off of it, and they didn't even have to work. They didn't have to try anything. And then they say like, "Oh, well, you're sexist because you're making fun of her," and it's like, and then people would defend her, and it's like you would just look at it and be like, "Well, wait a minute, didn't this just happen because she was the one that started it? She was the one that." Decided to come out and say that, if you don't give me $5, that you are an entitled piece of shit, even though that's what she was basically doing. So it's her fault. So it's like, you got all these people out there that they think they're gonna win by one-upping you by saying that, oh well, you ought to feel ashamed of yourself because you don't give me your money, like I'm entitled to give you my money. And then you look at what these people do, and they seem to be like the last person that realizes what they're doing is really sexist and ridiculous. Like, I mean, believe it or not, women can be sexist. It's not just men. Okay, there's a word for it. I can't remember off the top of my head. Yeah, it's misogynistic when a man's sexist, but it's like something else when a woman's sexist. I can't remember 100% what it is, but it starts with an M though. If I remember correctly. But I'll tell you this though, we men, we don't have to give people anything if we feel like they don't deserve it. And again, when you look at, like, again, Twitch Thots, for example, they don't
like, again, you don't have to give them anything. There's tons of talented people out there that we could give our money to that deserve it even better than a lot of all these other people, and rightfully so, because when you really think about it, like what these people are capable of doing, like we live in a day and age where yeah, anything's possible. But if you're going to try to play the system for, you know, your own reasons, and you think people are that stupid, no, you're throwing your reputation out. You know, you might as well just help people out instead. You don't have to become somebody that you're not, so that way, you know, it turns into something that it really isn't. Like, because again, you know, people, that's just proof right there. People are making problems in a time when, especially in this day and age, I mean, you expect people just to give you money, and there's some people that are losing their jobs right now. And again, I don't think it's because of some virus. I think it's just because, you know, government officials are just being stupid. You know, then again, this is why people don't take politics seriously until they push it to an extreme where you can't really ignore it. Because it's one reason I can't go to work right now. Or my other job. I work 2 jobs right now. But I'm not here to brag about that. I'm just here to, you know, make a case in point that I do feel people's pain. And, you know, we got to set things right. You can't just tell people they can't go to work because we said so. No, that's unconstitutional. And even if this whole virus thing, you know, what about what happens when we open it back up? I mean, you know, we live in an ecosystem. People get sick all the time. It's not because of a pandemic, and that's, and you know, and enough of this like, oh, it's, there's going to be a second wave nonsense. No, you know, there's tons of people out there that are, they're probably immune to this virus, and they're already asymptomatic, meaning like, you know, they're not going to get sick from it, and if they do, they should just stay home and go to the hospital. It's not as bad as they say it is. And even if they do, don't close the whole economy down because you want to, you know, revive like some big corporation that's losing money. Apparently, you know, it's not what's really going on. You know, again, the media and social media, for example, that's why it's a dumpster fire, because people just, you know, you're trying to post propaganda in an attempt to make money, but for all the wrong reasons, because it works. You know, that everything is going on the internet, and tons of things are on the internet. I can find whatever I want on the internet. There's good things on the internet. It doesn't have to just be porn or tutorials on the internet. Like there could be files I can find. I can find games that were never localized. I mean that's what a lot of people don't understand. Like you can find anything on the internet. If you think it's on the internet, chances are it probably is. You just gotta go, and there's so many websites out there. Don't even get me started with how many domain names there are. You don't have to just use Facebook and YouTube and Instagram and Twitter, and you know what I mean? Like there's tons of websites out there. I mean, I understand that, yeah, you know, some platforms are bigger than others, but you know, it's like there's some people on YouTube once said, you know, branch out, you know, go to multiple platforms, because if you keep uploading your platforms on other stuff, you might actually be putting yourself out there even more, and to the point where people will start to see you more. Like I almost hit, like for example, like if I keep making these videos, people will watch me because they're like, oh hey, you know, this guy's got a point, you know. And I'm not trying to, I'm just here to influence people, like in a good way. You know, like you think about what I'm saying because I want people to know the truth. You know, not like some crazy cultist is like, if you don't believe this, you're dead. You know, no, it's like, no, we have to think about who we are. Okay, it's important that we look at life for what it really is, not what people say it is. You know, but what it really is. Unless somebody can back it up. It's like J.C. Denton from Deus Ex, The Conspiracy, would always say, you know, do you have a single fact to back that up? And it's like, you know, yeah, facts. You got to know how to look at life for what it is. People, it's trust. Okay, and if there are people out there that are going to go on social media and they're going to try to run a business, but they're going to expect people just to give them money, well, okay, what are we getting in return? Because, you know, you have to be willing to justify your cause. If you think, because again, everything is basically competition, there's nothing wrong with working together, but if you just think people should just give you money instead of like a team of people, well, why should people give you money? What have you done for other people? Because so far, it's not really clear what you've really done for a lot of people that they would want to donate to you. If they don't want to donate to you because they feel like, you know, your show isn't really offering much, then, you know, probably ask people what would convince them otherwise, you know. I mean, you can't always throw it out there if you want people to donate to you, but only if you really absolutely need it, or if you really have done something to deserve it, you know. Maybe, I'll tell you what, take like the Kickstarter approach, you know. Tell people, say, hey, You know, if we donate enough money, I will do this. You know, but you have to give your end of the bargain, otherwise people are going to call it out. And you know, in lying to people in this day and age, it's not worth it, because people will see through it. They're again, people like me will make videos, you know, because you get sick of this nonsense. Again, Twitch Thoughts. There's some people out there that just because they sit here and act like, oh well, if you give me money, I'll give you this, and it's like, you know, no. Because at the end of the day, you're lying about who you really are. You're lying about being with somebody. And not only that, but it's like they don't have a chance going out with you. You're basically falsely advertising something. It'd be like me saying, hey, I'm going to go on Twitch and start saying, like, I'm going to raise money for, like, a cause, and then not send any of that money to that cause. And I'd just be basically committing, like, a fraud. You cannot lie to people and commit crime like that. It just doesn't work. It doesn't make sense. You know? If I wanted to raise money for something, you gotta be honest for it. You can't manipulate people like that. You know, and you can't shame people for, you know, not giving you money, because if I haven't already said it, you know, that in and of itself is sexist. Like, if you're trying to make it sound like if you're gonna say you're entitled, and this is usually how it goes, you know, you know, if they're not relevant, they'll try to make a big deal so that way they can make money off it. You know, and it's like even stuff like Facebook, where, like, you know, you got people that will argue back and forth, and, you know, just so Facebook can make more money, because they're basically taking your data and just, you know, selling it to another corporation. Google does the same thing. I feel like a lot of corporations really don't understand, you know, they just don't even, they don't want to be honest to people. They'd rather just lie to people and say, you know, we don't have to be honest because we can get away with it. And it's stupid, because, you know, it's never been about their platforms. It's always been about just some stupid nonsense that they want to convince people otherwise of, so that way they can tell people down the line that, like, you know, they can take advantage of people. Because again, just because you think you can get away with something does not mean that you should be able to. And again, there's people out there that if they think they can, they probably are going to try to. You know, again, Murphy's Law states that, you know, what can go wrong will. And I'm a believer of that. Because people seem to think that if they can get away with it once, they most certainly will. And it's like, well, depending on the issue. I mean, if you're going to sit here and, like, if you're going to do it like something like Amaranth does, where, like, people send her, like, ridiculous amounts of money because they think they have a shot with her, but it's not going to happen because, again, she's not coming out and saying that she is married. And I think to this day, she still refuses to acknowledge that. She basically, you know, there was a guy on YouTube, I think his name was the L of the Day. You know, L of the Day stands for loser in this case. Not the guy himself, but, you know, the people he talks about. And I give credit to this guy because what he is doing is absolutely, like, it's genuine. Like, I love this guy's reactions. He always comes in with a positive atmosphere, but he talks about this stuff. Like, he'll tell people the truth, and you know, I have mad props to that guy. And then, like, I remember Amaranth, she was, like, trying to come out and say that, you know, she was gonna file, like, what was it? She was gonna file, like, a DMCA or something, and, like, try to take his entire channel down because he was trying, like, because she said, oh, he's harassing me. And it's like, well, no, you know, you are basically harassing your fans by basically telling, not Ella Day, Amaranth in this case, was basically trying to say that, you know, she was hiding who she is as a married individual. And I mean, I understand, yeah, privacy, but, you know, but when you're trying to, like, manipulate people, like, in the sense that you're trying to come off as a woman that's beautiful and gorgeous, but when you really see who she really is, I mean, one, you don't have a real chance with her because, let's be honest, a lot of other guys want her, and she's already married, so obviously that ain't gonna happen. And she wants your money, but it's like, I mean, I don't care if she's a good actor. I mean, you know, I can see through it, but it's like, you know, that's irrelevant. You know, the fact that she's lying and committing fraud because a woman that's single is going to make more money than a woman that's married, coming off the way she is, like, where people are sending her donations, because that's the psychology behind it. So when people found that out about her, you know, she lost a lot of money, and she's still making money. And I'm just sitting there thinking, like, you know, that's the problem with this whole thing. You know, I don't have a problem with people wanting to make money, but when people go about manipulating people and trying to take advantage, you really see how worthless and evil some people really are. They don't stop themselves. They just act like they don't need a moral compass. They just act like they really are, in their own way, entitled to your money. And if you don't give it to them, you should be ashamed of yourself. You're misogynistic because you don't support women. And they try to turn this into something that it's not. Just because you don't give them $5. Even though they're making hundreds of thousands of dollars. And there's no way you're going to tell me they haven't spent all that money. Because I'll tell you what, I mean, in a year, I make $85,000 on average. I work 2 jobs. I'm a translator, and I work at a bar. And I work my ass off. Okay, I don't expect people to give me anything. Except for, I get tips every once in a while from customers. Because they say, Travis, you come in there and you do a really good job. And you know what? And I look at them and I say, you know what, man? Thank you very much. I appreciate it. And I always tell people, please come again. I would love to see you guys again. You know, because I love helping people out. That's what makes me happy. You know, I love seeing people happy. Because I think people deserve to live their lives happy, knowing that they lived a day that made them happy. You know, they shouldn't have to, like, people shouldn't have to deal with unnecessary bullshit. And that's why, you know, I make these videos, because you wanna set these things right. Just because, again, people choose to be stupid, people choose to be evil. Okay, maybe in some cases people evolve to be evil too. I mean, again, it really depends on how you want to look at it. But that's, at this point, it's like not, like, it's not important in this case as much, because, you know, if people are going out there causing problems, people, you know, it's, you know, you have to, like, really justify who we really are as an individual. Like, if you see people causing problems, again, causing, like, federal fraud and people getting away with it on ridiculous levels, I don't blame people. Like, again, going back to, like, when Elle today exposed that, you know, there's definitely something wrong there, that she tried to attack him like that, because she was the one that made that mistake by not telling people. You know, she should have told people that she was married. But if you're going to hide it in the sense that, you know, but for your business, though, that you're making more money off it, and you know this, and that's evident with what she's doing, then she loses respect, because it's like, you shouldn't be doing this to people, you know? I mean, again, there's nothing wrong with wanting to make money, but again, you got to be smart about it, though. Not for, like, illegal reasons, but for being genuine to people. You know, like, if you're just doing it to manipulate people, then it really just goes to show you who you really are as an individual. And the same thing with, like, people like Alinity, and, you know, like, some of the problems with, like, Alinity was, like, you know, people said that, you know, she would throw her cat, she would try to kill it with toxic, like a kiss and all that. And, you know, like, the way she tries to, like, you got that thumbnail where it kind of looks like she's just being cute, you know? But it's not like, I wouldn't even date her, because, well, you know, because I wouldn't trust her. You know, people like that. It's like, I don't shame women for being women. It's just, you know, some of them they're just not relationship material. They have a lot of problems to work out. And it's not because they're entitled. You know, it's, even though they act like they are, but it's just, you know, if you don't have a trust between people, you want to bring kids into this world, and you want to see them fight and argue, and then they're going to grow up to possibly go through the same thing we are. You know what I mean? That's the problem with a lot of relationships nowadays. A lot of people don't truly understand what's going on anymore. Like, and in a way, it's kind of not our faults, like, the individual themselves, but it really, like, other people, you know, people clash all the time because people can't, like, everybody's, like, arrogant. Not everybody, but, you know, more people than others. Some people are more arrogant than others. Some people are more ignorant than others. People think, you know, ignorance, basically, the definition is, you know, you just pick and choose what you want to believe. And arrogance is, like, trying to, like, kind of like the reverse psychology of it, where you're trying to make it seem like it's more of a big deal than it really is. Usually when someone says that you're arrogant, you're trying to make it seem like you have far more worth than anybody else. You know, and unless you can back that up, then maybe it's either the people themselves don't understand what's really going on, and this guy's just way ahead of everybody else in terms of importance. But unless you can back it up, you're really just, you know, it's favoritism, really. That's what it comes down to. So that's why entitlement doesn't really work, because at the end of the day, unless you really truly deserve all that money that you're getting from, like, all these people, all these sponsors, why should anybody care about your legacy or somebody else? You know, again, it really comes down to just people being honest. You know, like me, for example. I come on this channel because I want people to know this stuff, because this is generally a problem, you know, and I'm willing to work with people on it. I can handle criticism. You know, I'm not here to judge people unless there's really an issue that needs to be worked out. You know, that is the problem, and especially with social media. But people don't take that approach. You know, you got people that they want to start problems because they can get away with it, make as much money off it as possible. Again, in drama, for example. And then they turn it into a dumpster fire because they know that they're going to piss someone off. And then they're just going to blame them for it. Say, well, you know, it's all your fault. It's not my fault. Even though it is. Again, Twitch Thots, for example. And again, it doesn't just have to be Twitch Thots. It could just be people being stupid. But I'd say the reason I bring up Twitch Thots a lot is because these are the one people that make more money off the internet for the most part, just for, you know, the same reason that sex sells. And again, there's nothing wrong with sex, but it's just the way, like, the way it's done on Twitch's platform, it's just favoritism. It doesn't deserve to even be there in the first place. Yeah, Amazon owns Twitch, but the thing is, you know, if someone like Alinity can just come on there and they're just going to encourage it because they're going to keep doing it, or Amaranth, when they are on there, you know, but they're just going to turn it into that website, and then people have a problem with it because it's just, you know, look at what they try to turn it into. Twitch just used to be a gaming website. Now thanks to Twitch Thoughts, they've been turning it slowly into a porn site. And I wouldn't be surprised that even if Amazon just eventually said, hey, you know what, we're just going to turn it into this. You know, they'll still say men. They'll say, oh, well, we don't want men on here doing it because it'd just be wrong and weird, you know. But like when a woman does it, though, you know, oh, it's perfectly fine, you know. You know, it just, like, it's not so much the idea that I'm against it. It's just more of like you're just trying to weigh one side over the other instead of treating everybody equally. You know, because you got people out there that will say, like, people, like, because again, I understand, yeah, women are more attractive than guys. I'm into women than I am into guys. But I think everybody deserves a fair chance, though. I mean, if you're going to let women come on here and do that, you can't ban guys for doing the same thing. It just doesn't work, okay? Because it's like, you know, you're trying to tell Twitch that, I mean, the only reason why Twitch is kind of losing money here and there is because more people keep getting fed up of their favoritism. So if Twitch is going to be like, okay, well, only girls are allowed to do this, then they should come out and say that, you know, rather than their disclaimer of a TOS, terms of service, that states that, you know, we don't want any exploited nudity. But, you know, they're going to let certain people get away with it. Because, again, you know, people like Alinity, people like Amaranth bring in the good money, you know, like she says. But it's like, you know, she'll admit that she copyright strike PewDiePie, or which is copyright strike, you know. It's just funny how she said that. Like, and she works at a corporation that, like, what, copyright claims people? Sorry. You know, it just, you know, and again, I don't want to come on here and make fun of these people. You know, that's just besides the point, though. You know, I'm coming on here because people need to stop doing this stuff to people. We need to stop. You know, people keep making mistakes because they think they can get away with it. There's a difference between purpose and accidental. You know, stuff like, you know, social media can be a great thing because there are people out there that are trying to do good things. Again, you can find anything. But then with the good, there's the bad, there's the bad, there's the good, you know, vice versa. Just we just need to work together, basically, is the idea. You know, if we all can work together, the world is a better place. And again, this entitlement on the internet, again, repetition-wise, don't give Twitch Thoughts money. Only give them money if they truly deserve it. And I mean that through, like, hard work and dedication, not just, you know, because they ask. They should really not get your money after the second they say, well, you know, I'm entitled to it because, you know, you should be ashamed of yourself for being a man. You know, you give me money because I said so. And it's like, no, nobody should give you money because you're not giving anything in return. And I don't necessarily mean that doesn't have to be a sexual thing. It could be anything, you know, because again, you know, I've seen women on Twitch that deserve what they're doing. I've seen, like, I'll give you an example. I've seen there's a woman I watch speedrun, like, Dark Souls and was it Shiko? No, Sieko? I'm trying to remember the name, though. One where you die twice. Not die twice,
It's like the Asian Dark Souls. I'm just drawing a blank right now. Sietko. I forget the pronunciation, the spelling, because it's a game I've only beat once. But it's basically what really gets me is, I remember like she would speed run that game, like Dark Souls, no armor, no hit run, like any percent. And I'm just sitting there like, like she beat that entire, like all those games without, like, she beat all the Dark Souls bosses, DLC and all that, without taking a single hit, no deaths. And I mean, there's other people that speedrun too, but I donated, like, I remember like $55 total at least, just because she was able to do that. Like, I sat down and literally watched it. No glitches, no deaths, no hits. And it's just, man, you want to talk about skill level, man. I mean, that's something that was worth watching. That was a hell of a run, and there are good gamers out there, good girl gamers out there. I'm not sexist, but if you're gonna tell me that, like, you go on Twitch and they say that, well, they're gonna post cringe, where, like, like Twitch Thots are gonna post cringe where they say, like, like one, I remember reading somebody posted something like, I bet like a titty streamer has like more talent in one tit than like all the men who complain about them on Twitch. And yet you see, like, the only reason they get famous is because of that tweet, because they piss people off. But instead of, like, going on the internet and people actually trying to, do good things and make money off of it, because, you know what I mean? So it's like the only reason, like, these people even get famous is because people keep giving them that attention. Not just for the sexuality, but because, they keep making videos about it. Like me, for example, I'm giving, like, Amaranth and Alinity and Bad Bunny, like, exposure because I've mentioned them already, in exchange for trying to get a point across that we shouldn't be, that we gotta think about this stuff. We gotta, you gotta understand this, people. Twitch Thots don't deserve money if, like, all they're trying to do is exploit people. Because lying to people is not a good thing. Lying to people, like, trying to make it sound like you're entitled to that money. I mean, people don't have to send you money. I'll tell you what, people have never sent me anything. I've had people tell me, you have to go to college, you have to do this. I never went to college. I taught myself, and I basically run my own translation business because of it. I'm self-employed, and I work, and I do very good with what I do. See, it just took some time, but I figured it out eventually. And you too, you can too, if you really sit down and really chase after what you want in life. And I'm sure there will be people out there that will send you money if you really want them to, if you really give them a reason to. But expecting people just to keep sending you money and being a sellout like that, well, you gotta take criticism for what it really is. Because if you're gonna sit here and say, oh, that's not what it really is, well, no, that, people are smarter than that. They're gonna look at that and they're gonna say, well, this woman's obviously lying, because you're putting yourself out there. Especially with social media, you're basically, it's, people can see through that, and they can backtrack it. And again, like they say, anything that's out in the public is anybody's business, especially on the internet. That's what a lot of people don't understand. So, again, be careful with who you are, and don't be afraid to stick by what you say. If you're going to backpedal on things, people are only going to use it against you later on. So, I guess the moral of the story is, if you're going to, everything's basically competition in life, if you think about it, really. Yeah, you can work with people, you can help people out to achieve a great goal, but if you really think you're entitled to something, and you really just think that people deserve to give you something, well, you better be able to back that up. Otherwise, people are going to think you're crazy, and they rightfully will, because you really would be crazy for, because again, you can't just be an asshole to somebody without a good reason. If you're just doing it for the sake of it, well, then you're just making yourself look like a jerk, a jackass. So, really, again, moral of the story, just help people out instead. Don't lie to people. Don't take advantage of people. Because at the end of the day, the only thing you're going to cause is confusion, grief, and disappointment. And if somehow you're one of those people like Amaranth or Alinity or Bad Bunny that
can somehow pull off that much money and still continue to get away with it because of favoritism, then that's all it is. Blind favoritism and other things. There's probably some form of favoritism. They just give her immunity. And anybody who calls her out, boom, gone off the internet. Or banned right off Twitch. You know what I mean? That's the only reason. Okay? It's not... You can't get away with favoritism forever. Or even at all. Because, to a degree... it's going to catch up to you at some point. And when it does, you know, and you lose that favoritism to other people maybe, you're going to just have to start over. You're going to have to start something fresh that you should have been doing from the very beginning because that skill ran out. You know, so basically, again, I'll make another video when I get a chance, but again, comment, rate, subscribe. If you like this video, go right ahead. Again, this video, these are supposed to be unscripted, but it's just to get a point across. That is the point of this channel, to put the truth out there so people will know that there are good people out there still. Social media can be a great thing, but we have to think about what we do with it. Because knowing is only half the battle, and then doing is basically the other half.